Bienvenidos amigos to another show of Cafecito with Rosie on air from downtown Florida, from Studio 24. Hello, Sergio. Hello, Andy. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the great job that you do for our community. And today, my friends, I am inviting my guest, I'm a sister from another mother, and also from Ecuador, like me, that we met a couple of years ago. And I'm not going to try to murder her last name, but Pam, how are you today?
Good, Rosie. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So again, you married a Bulgarian, so tell me your last name.
Okay, so my name is Pamela Cordova Papasov, and I'm a personal injury attorney based here in Tampa, Florida.
Awesome. So tell me about your kids, who you are, what motivates you, and why you decided to be an attorney.
So who am I? That's a wonderful question. I am a first-generation American. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am an entrepreneur who started my own business recently, and I am motivated by wanting to help people. And that is why I decided to go off on my own and start representing people that have been injured.
Yes, awesome. And then you have two little boys. I see them grow up in Facebook, which is one of those things that I think Facebook is amazing, because I see them when you were pregnant, when you announced your second pregnancy. And I'm like, yes. And then there was another little boy.
Yeah, I think when we met, I had the first one.
Yes, actually,
Yes.
I think you were just barely pregnant at that time.
Yes.
And I see your career, and it has been amazing. And it really invigorates me when you went on your own and said, okay, I'm going to do this entrepreneurial thing. And why do you think, what was the catalyst for you to say, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think what drives me, what motivates me is, like I mentioned, I'm a first-generation American, and I think that's something that you understand too. There's certain struggles that we have. You know, our parents come to this country, and I mean, I came to this country too, because I was born in Ecuador, not knowing the system. And living through, seeing their experience and everything that they've gone through, all their sacrifices, it instills something in you. It's a drive, it's a passion to do the best that you can do. Not just to make them proud, but to make all the sacrifice worthwhile.
Right.
So I knew I wanted to be an attorney. And once I knew I wanted to be an attorney, I just knew that in order to be able to go off on my own one day, I had to gather sufficient experience in order to do the best that I could for all my clients. So that was, there was always a goal of wanting to do something on my own. And I think, again, that comes from my parents. My dad's a business owner too, which is incredible considering he hardly speaks English. So, but this is a wonderful country and that full of opportunity. So I am here to make the most of it and to help anybody in our situation understand that it's a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, so there's two things that you are talking, which is one of those things that is also my motto, right? So people come to this country and they always feel inadequate because of the institutional knowledge that happens to learn or you go through when you go to school. So one of the things that I share is that when I got involved into the whole political arena, and it was more of the grassroots. Okay, let's just phrase grassroots. You start little with grassroots. And I didn't want to get involved because, again, in our countries, you know, when you go vote, which I never did in Ecuador, you have this ballot that has 17 candidates. And the way you look at it is like, okay, which one out of this one is going to steal the less from our country? But that was not the situation here. I just didn't have the institutional knowledge. And that's when I realized, okay, if I am going to be an American, as much as paying taxes or as much as working, I also need to know the system. And I understood that it's public policy what makes the situation, not politics. Politics divide, public policy unites. And that's when I realized, oh, look, that's an institutional knowledge that if I educate others about, then they're not going to feel inadequate, because at the end of the day, they don't get involved because they feel inadequate. So this is amazing that you do this, especially because, again, our laws in our countries to the laws in the United States, night and day.
Yes.
Right? And then with me, I had to translate for my parents because I was the oldest one. So I had to grow up and do these things that I did not know anything about And and I had to, I remember we were going to the DMV and my parents wanted to do the tag. And I said, we need to get the tag. And the lady goes, you need insurance. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what insurance is. So I translated to my dad and I said, need insurance? My dad says, no, we don't need insurance. Because in Ecuador, you don't need insurance. Well, the guy says, well, if you don't have insurance, you can't get your car, your tag. And I said to my dad, it's like, no, you can't get it. So the lady sent us next door, which God only knows how much we pay for that insurance, but we got the insurance and come back and got our tag. By the way, we bought a car, oh my God, every other month too. That was the other thing. You went into those dealerships and like, oh, these people got money. Let's get you a car. Let's get you a car. So again, this is something that I admire because, and you say you're so totally right. You felt that your family did not know. They were inadequate. And now you want to make sure that anybody that comes here adapts pretty quickly. You assimilate into this amazing country because if you assimilate, the faster you assimilate, the faster you're going to be successful. Because we are in the country of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? We all come here for the pursuit of happiness.
Correct. And there's a difference between not having the knowledge of how the system works, because obviously that's something that common ground, no matter where you come from. If you're not born in this country, it's something that you don't understand because our countries are so much different. But what our parents do teach us is so much more important. Is the resilience. Right. And it's the, yes. And it's just, taking, setbacks and just coming out stronger.
Right. Endurance. That's one of those things again. And that's why this book, the mindset to get what you want. Because at the end of the day, it might not even be the institutional knowledge, but it's that I'm going to be persistent. I am going to get this in my head, in my mind. I already have the vision and I see it. Now I'm just not going to stop until I get what I'm looking for. That's what get the spirit of the mindset to get what you want. So
exactly. So that's the drive, and that's what. Once I knew that I wanted to be an attorney, the goal was to get to a point where I knew that if I gathered the sufficient knowledge from all different areas and stages of a legal case, then I could do my best to represent my clients. And as an attorney, you are a counselor. You guide people through some of their hardest times, especially in personal injury. Right. People are very confused. They're hurt, and they need somebody that has that empathy and that compassion and that knows the system and can walk them through to ensure that they get what they deserve in order to get better and move on with their lives. Right.
So personal injury, because everybody kind of always talks about accidents, right? So tell me a little bit about what personal injury is, because that was very eye-opening to me when you and I met and kind of talked about it.
Yeah, there's what people mostly know about personal injury has to do with auto accidents, but that's not the end all. There's different types of cases. I like to explain to people that if you've been injured sometimes even inside your home. But if you've been injured outside your home, it's very important to talk to a knowledgeable, experienced personal injury attorney that can help you understand what legal rights and responsibilities and what compensation you could potentially be entitled to. It could be something as we call them premise liabilities, but that involves all sorts of accidents, such as slip and falls, trip and falls, any kind of things falling on you when you're out and about. It could be any kind of catastrophic injury, even wrongful death. So, and not just, as I mentioned, through auto accidents. So it's a broad area of the law.
Now, if a person is not legally here, or perhaps they're visiting, because the other day I was walking down the park and this thing fell from the palm. There was a palm tree there, and I guess it was that piece of the palm, but the palm was so high that by the time it hit the ground, if that thing would have hit me in the head, I probably would have been really hurt. It thumped really hard. does that person needs to be legal in the United States to have a case?
No, you do not have to be legally in the United States to have a case. You could even be visiting. I currently even have one client who's outside of the country. So I have a client in Colombia, and she was injured here, severe injuries, and it's something that it does add a little element, a little difficulty, especially because of the in order to prove a personal injury case, you have to have medical treatment to qualify your injury. And when you have treatment in another country, we do have to go through the extra step of the translation.
Right.
So, but it is possible.
En translation, so hablas español, ¿verdad?
Sí, claro que sí. Nací en Ecuador, así que español es mi primer idioma.
Sí. Ella es de Guayaquil, yo soy de Quito, mis papás son de Guayaquil. And mis papás ahorita están en Guayaquil. My parents are actually in Ecuador, in Guayaquil right now visiting. They were born there, so I think this is one of those last trips that we don't know when we're going to be back over there, so let's just visit where
and
we
enjoy
were.
it. Yes.
Yeah, and enjoy it. And the funny things is my parents live 6 blocks away from each other, but they did not meet until they met in Quito. And the story is, and this is my parents' love story, but my mom heard my dad's name and her heart skip a beat. And then there was something was happening because my dad is always, I have his personality. My dad is always in some type of trouble. So she heard this noise and saw him walking, and she knew that was my dad. It's like, oh, that must be that Mono Crespo, because, from Ecuador. In Ecuador, the people from Guayaquil, they call him Mono. So said, oh my God, that's the Mono Crespo. And then, of course, my dad had all these girlfriends and stuff like that. And they were he was asking my mom out, and my mom goes, no, you got too many girlfriends. No. But eventually he says, well, I done them all for you.
They both knew.
Yeah.
When you know, you knew.
My dad, today they're 54. Yeah, May of this year, they were 54 years together. And, it's a blessing as a daughter to be able to see them too and have them still part of my life. So this little trip, although it was very stressful to me, it was what they needed to do.
That's wonderful.
So awesome. Well, and then the other part is a woman, so you're a mom, you're a community leader, you're an attorney, all these things. How do you manage all that? Because I think that's one of those things that we as women sometimes forget, even for ourselves. So how do you manage all that?
I think the most important thing is to build a strong support network. And I am blessed to have my mother, to have wonderful sisters. My younger sister actually works with me. She's my legal director. And I always like to joke that she is my boss, but she helps me keep my sanity, not only at work and to make sure things run smoothly, but also in life.
Right.
She is a very caring person, and she's the one person when she knows my children's birthdays are coming up, and she's like, Pamela, what are we doing for the birthday party? And she gets right on it. So she is my rock. My older sister is always there, and now she moved to Texas, so I miss her very much. But she is my almost therapist. So I am sorry, Sandra, for everything I've put you through. She is my therapist. I have my mom who loves all her grandchildren.
Right.
And she will make the time if I'm running late, if I have court, if I have to stay late to finish writing a brief or any kind of insane deadline and I can't get home on time, she will make sure that she's home, feeds the kids, reads them their bedtime story, and gets them to bed. So it's about having that support system. And I know I'm lucky to have a family. But even outside my family, I have found very many wonderful people that have also helped me along the way.
Yeah. And this is very important too, because, one of the things that I always tell people is I'm not a good manager, and don't ask me to hire somebody, because I probably want to hire everybody because I want to be everybody's friend. Right. But I'm a good inspirator. Right. And having the right people in your system and in your work is very important. What are the boundaries, or what are the culture or the vision or the mission that you kind of share with your group to bring them on board, and then see if they assimilate to the core culture of what your team, because the culture is created by your team. The culture is not created by the owner inspires, but the culture is created by the by the team that is in the work, so, or in the company that you represent. So how did that came about, and what is it that you kind of share when you're hiring somebody?
So the way I've been growing my team, I've been very blessed. I believe I've been because I've been in the personal injury field since 2008, but I started as a paralegal. And I was a paralegal for 10 years and through law school. Okay. And then after becoming a Florida bar attorney, I did a little bit of political work for the Ashley Moody campaign. And then I became a assistant attorney general, and I was arguing cases in front of the second DCA. But then I went back into my roots of personal injury. So I worked for the largest personal injury law firm representing plaintiffs, injured people. And then I went to the other side and I represented insurance companies. And the people I've met along the way, you meet the most wonderful people, and it's important to make connections and build your team, your people. So through all these different experiences I have met, and I have come to realize that there's certain traits, there's certain resilience in people and grit and just wanting to do a better, like a work ethic. Right. And I seem to get along better with people that have similar types of experiences. And I've been lucky enough to grow my team through meeting people like this, where I recognize these strengths. Right. And little by little, we've been adding. So I started, with my sister. Right. She was a paralegal and a legal director at another law firm for 8 years, I believe. Right. And it was me and her when we started out. Right. And then we started growing. I met a wonderful young lady who now is our marketing coordinator and legal assistant. Right. She wears many hats. Right. And she is the youngest marketing coordinator in the Tampa Bay area. She just turned 18. Oh, wow. Yeah, if you see Maria, if you see any of our social media presence, she guides us. I'm a little bit behind on the times when it comes to that. So she keeps us on the cutting edge. And the way I met her, and I recognized that she has this willpower, strong willpower, I knew that she'd be the perfect addition to the team. Right. From then on, back when I was a paralegal, I met another young man who was also doing legal assisting work and clerking on the side. He went to law school. He tried several cases, was a public defender. And when I realized, hey, what my team right now is lacking is we need more litigation, hard time experience in the courtroom. I called him and he's like, I'm your guy. Oh, and that was the first attorney that came on board. Oh, wow. And most recently we got a new attorney, and he specializes. I met him when I was doing defense. He has a wealth of experience. He has a tax LLM, that's a master's in taxation. Right. He's an attorney, and he has experience in labor and employment. Oh, and wow. When I met him, I knew that he would be the perfect addition because his life story is so inspiring. This is a young man who, when he was 18, suffered a severe spinal injury. Oh, wow. And he is now in a wheelchair. And through everything that he's gone through in his life, he's managed to put himself through law school. Oh, wow. Get a tax LLM, work and get amazing experience, trial room experience, and he's done immigration, he's done insurance defense, he's done construction law. Oh, wow. And I started getting a couple of cases that overlapped other areas of the law, because I specialize in personal injury, but sometimes people are injured in other areas of the law overlap. For example, if you get injured on a work site, right, that becomes workers' comp. So that's a little bit different. Or if you get injured at work and then you lose your job because of it, or there's complications with your job, now you're crossing over to labor and employment. Oh. So I had a couple of cases that were in that realm. I had injured people I was trying to help, but there was an element of this labor and employment. And I know that that's something that is not my forte. Right. So when I met Antonio, he said, I am your guy. Oh, wow. And so now we have somebody that can help make sure that we do the best job for our clients. As the cases evolve a little bit, then we will grow the team as necessary to make sure that we provide the best representation.
The dream team. That's amazing. And that's amazing. And you know, Pam, that's one of those things that I'm telling you that once you have you start as a mom and pop, but I think that's for us, I guess, coming from our culture, right? It's the most amazing thing when you can grow your team with your family. Like I tell my parents all the time, and I did this, you are the fuel to my ñeque is my family. You know, like everything that I do is because of my family. You're talking about not only excelling at everything, but doing the best you can. It's because you want to make your parents proud. To me, my parents left everything. I didn't. I came with my parents, and I came with my siblings, right? I might have left a couple of friends and a couple of cousins, but I did not leave my job. My parents left their jobs, their families, everything. So everything that I do, it always says, how are my parents going to feel about this? And when I get a recognition anywhere, I always bring my parents and I make them stand up, because they are the ones that sacrifice everything for me to give me and my siblings the chance to be here. So growing your agency or your company with the family is just so one of those American dream stories that one day are going to be featured somewhere, because again, they're so inspiring. They're so inspiring. And you talk about the Ashley Moody campaign that you were there. How do you get involved in that? Because I know that's one of those things that some of our young ladies might be a little bit scared about. Again, we're talking about politics and public policy, right? Mm-hmm. But that is a big part of what runs this country. And if you know how to work with public policy, can make your job and you stay here better and easier. But sometimes they don't have people like you that they can see and they can look up to. So if you were talking to a young person that maybe is looking for a mentor, what will you tell them that they should do to find what they want to get engaged and get involved?
I think to answer your question first, how did I get involved with the Ashley Moody campaign? And that was Ashley Moody, before becoming the Attorney General of Florida, was a judge locally here in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
And during she's an amazingly inspiring woman. She was working full-time as a judge here in Hillsborough County, the 13th Judicial Circuit, and she had an hour lunch. And during this hour lunch, she took the time to teach a class at Stetson University. And so I signed up to be in her class. And I was lucky enough that the class was small that year. We were actually worried it was going to be canceled because it was only 3 of us.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't cancel it. I think we just flew under the radar. But what that allowed us, the 3 of us, to do is to create a really close bond with her.
Right.
She was an amazing teacher, very knowledgeable, and she cared about us knowing and us growing as attorneys. Right. It was an amazing experience. So what I would suggest to people, to young people going through college, through law school, or even your first job, is to find a mentor. It's always important. You create, even when you don't know this, your parents don't know the system, and you're trying to make your way, get close to the people that can help you, that can help you explain how things work, and that can provide opportunities.
Right.
So as soon as that class finished, she actually stepped down from being a judge. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, why would she do that? She's amazing. And then the news came out that she was running for Attorney General.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I was in the middle, I was just graduating.
Right.
And then I get a phone call from her asking me if I wanted to be part of the team. So how could I say no?
Yeah.
This is when you meet your people that are willing to guide you and willing to show you a path, you have to take those opportunities.
And Ashley Moody, so the Commission on the Status of Women, which is where I serve at the state level, is housed under the Attorney General. So when we have our Tallahassee events and things like that, she always shows up. She remembers now, and now she remembers my husband, which is so amazing too. And my husband loves taking pictures with her. He doesn't care about any other politician but Ashley Moody, she's like, oh yeah, and I want to take a picture with him. And she now the one day that my husband was doing something, and he said, "Where's your husband? Where's your husband?" And she did not leave until Scott came over and took a picture with her, because she says, "No, he always takes a picture with me." And then she met my parents too, which was really nice. She's the Attorney General of Florida, but she's also very down to earth and very approachable. Yes. And you can connect with her very well.
She's a mother.
Yes, that was the other thing. Yeah. She's the first Attorney General that actually has a kid in elementary school. Yeah. I don't think they ever had Attorney Generals that, they had to worry about, okay, kids is out of school, it's college, summer, I can do this because, the kid is actually with me.
That's part of the inspiration, as a woman and as a mother, a wife, that you can do what you want to do in this country. So
yeah. And the funny thing is she was going on stage one time and her heel got stuck or something and she couldn't do it, and her husband is kind of pulling her heel. And one thing that I learned actually, and I believe I don't know if she was her or Pam Bundy, to respect the husbands. Like, if you're going to take a picture, don't let your husband take the bags of anybody, because your husbands don't really need to be holding nobody's bags. So she actually has as an assistant that will hold your bags while they take the picture.
I gladly would hold her bag every time.
But it is the respect of your husband, the respect of her husband too. Yeah. And I learned that because, you don't know how to behave on those things, and nobody explains, but those ethics, those are not ethics, but etiquette. It's really good to know. Well, we have just a few more minutes. Pam, thank you for being here. But so tell me again, tell our viewers where they can find you.
Sure. So my website is www.wefightToWin.com. We are on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I am there. The law firm is there. My email is Pamela@wefightToWin.com. And our phone number is 833-813-2946.
Awesome. WeFightToWin.com. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. And there's going to be more to come there. But about you, my friends, don't be scared. Don't be shy. And don't think that because you are not born in this country, you don't have the tools and the knowledge for being successful. There's amazing people and amazing mentors that will be willing to help you navigate all those institutional knowledge that you perhaps do not feel adequate to know. But just having the sheer grit and resilience to get it going and make it happen, that is coming from you, and that's instilled on you. So, my friend, don't give up, stay pure, stay positive, and stay inspired. Ciao!